Hello and welcome to the shop. I'm Jared and this is the Questionable Garage, and we're standing in front of my ultimate muscle car, the 1970 Plymouth Sport Satellite. To me, it's the best looking. You guys have been pretty, active in the comments, telling me your favorite, telling me this thing just looks like a brick. It's okay. It's the brick I love. You guys might like a Camaro SS. You can't go wrong. Shelby GT500 Mustang, or just a standard old Mustang. Maybe a Mustang too. That's about where you start going wrong. But a lot of you had been asking for a while, why aren't we making a lot of progress? We got the floor pan put into it. Cut out of it, ready to fit. And we've got the engine torn apart and realized, made a bad deal on Marketplace again. I'm not doing good on my used engines, but maybe we'll build it. Maybe we do a Gen 3. I still have not decided. But all along on all the other projects, you guys have been saying, when are you getting some progress done? And I kept saying, we're finalizing some deals. I've got some tools coming, waiting on them. Well, guess what? Right behind you guys are the crates of the tools and some stuff I'm hoping that's gonna kind of revolutionize rebuilding this old muscle car. It's gonna let me do some things to it that, you could work around and make happen, but we're gonna do it better. We're gonna do it with some modern tech. So, I think it's just time we unbox it. I'm not even gonna turn around and show you the boxes. We're just gonna set you up and I'm gonna get these things open.
We're still unboxing, obviously.
But I do gotta say, that is an impressive crate and shipping box. When something is worth shipping with that kind of crate, it's kind of cool. Some of you have already seen the name,
But we're just gonna keep on taking it apart and ignore that, because holy cow, is this awesome.
well, all right, we've got that big weird thing unboxed. So what exactly is it?
Well, I still got a lot of boxes, and as you can tell, it's made by xTool.
This is the xTool Metal Fab 1200 watt laser welder, cutter, and cleaner
With the added on CNC cabinet. This is what I'm really excited about. We've got the plasma cutters, and they do an amazing job, but laser can cut incredibly more precise. Also, it can cut really thin metals. So we're not gonna get too much into this part of it yet,
because I worked out the deal when they sent it to me. Yes, xTool did send this to me. Didn't buy it. We've been waiting on it, working on it for a while. I get to use it. A lot of times with sponsored products and tools, you just have to say right away that you like it. And I appreciate xTool letting me use it for a while. We're gonna learn the good, the bad, what it is, what it excels at, what it maybe doesn't excel at. But the specific thing I've been waiting for, the cleaning aspect of it. And I couldn't wait for you guys. So here's kind of a montage of me doing a little bit of cleaning, and we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, there you go. So this is the handheld with the cleaning tip on it. I will be honest, I already burned up one of the protective lenses. So we've done some of the laser welding in the past. There's multiple lenses and focusing and guards inside these heads. I do appreciate how much smaller and compact this head is. Now I don't have the fiber feed on it because we weren't setting it up to weld just yet, but we had a lot of fun cleaning. So this is just after the initial burn. This is some small slag and rust pitting that was in the metal that it has cleaned and worked through. There's actually a little bit of body filler here. Worked really good in this really obscure spot. Again, I've not even brushed it off. There's still some dust left from the burning process. We got this really thick there. Worked through. Kind of had fun and did a pass right there. There's tons of battery rust. We kind of worked through that a little bit. And this was what I can tell you at this point. A cutter, welder, cleaner cleans okay. It is not a dedicated cleaner, but it is going to do some really useful things for us. So if you have tons of flat surfaces to clean, a dedicated cleaner with its cleaning nozzle and pulsing patterns is something you're going to want. But what it's going to do really good for us, now this is just a little quick pass, this really hard to get into and sand areas. It is going to blast and burn really good and get us ready to rebuild. Now, that was that spot where we had the rust coming through. That burnt that clean. And then again, like on this edge here where you would wire wheel some, but it wouldn't work great, I am really excited to actually be able to run the laser up and down there. We get the laser inside there. Basically, because it's light, as long as the light can get to it, it's gonna work, or should work, and be able to burn and do what we need to get the metal ready for restoration. So, when you get a spam call and it stops your video recording, I might have to start doing airplane mode. So as long as light can do it, it can work. And if you remember, yes, the floors are still there to be done, but that little bit, and then on the inside and that was the last of our major rust and surprises. So, home stretch. I also wanted that laser so that way I can kind of clean inside the frame rails before we seal them back up with new floors. So, I'm excited, and I'm really excited. I still have the small air compressor coming for that. Once that gets here, we're gonna be able to cut out some really cool stuff. So I've got to clean up and make space for that tool. But for right now, we're gonna fire up and do some more metal cleaning and then get into cutting some patches and welding in some patches. Like I'm excited, guys. It's been a while coming. Remember last video when I commented about making the mistake of showing optimism? So I was having cracks in the factory leading, I think factory leading here. I'm not 100% that's a factory panel. I've not taken apart many B-bodies, but the lasering burnt through and revealed very weak metal there. So now we know why the water got in. Got in behind the lead, was rusting through there, lifting the lead. This is a little bit sketchy, but that's still pretty much exactly what we expected. We're committed. I can't change just this outside now. Do we just cut and weld, or what do we go about to get that filled in? I'm gonna quit being positive. We're gonna keep just working on building this muscle car. We're gonna get there. It's just, I need to stop shooting myself in the foot by being optimistic.
So we're gonna start cutting some patch panels and some metal out and burn in some stuff. Now we're gonna go traditional MIG, getting this stuff put back together here and move on to floor pans. The goal is potentially having at least A-pillar rebuilt and front floor pans physically in the car today, or this episode. Today for you guys. I got a little carried away. Remember, we found a hole in the exterior of the A-pillar when we started getting the lead out. It's all gone. You may ask, how did we end up in this spot? Last night, the last shot from yesterday, we were talking about small patches and putting a floor in. We're gonna finish the floor. Well, now the new goal is to rebuild this A-pillar. So how did we get here? Well, I had a couple friends stop by and we talked about possible patches here and things like that. And they said, hey Jared, how long do you want to keep this car? I don't intend to ever get rid of it. So they said, quit pretending that I wasn't gonna just cut it all apart and do it. Which was right. So how did we get here? Well, here's some footage of it. Well, first we started cutting away the rusty metal. And then I kept cutting away the rusty metal. Followed by cutting away rusty metal. And then I cut away the rusty metal. Now you'll also notice a lot of you have asked why I didn't have braces in the car before while I was doing all this work. And that's because I had always kept basically most of the box intact. The floor is out safely because the roof was fully on. We didn't tear the floor out when the roof was out. But with this section out, we would probably be okay. But to make sure we were good, I went ahead and just welded in 2 round bars. If you do flat steel, it can flex, and I didn't have long enough angle iron. So that's just tied in there to hold that. And as all of that was cutting out, it stayed nice and solid. Also, the parts are gonna be basically encapsulated as we put it all back together. And as you can tell, it's still drying, which kind of means I'm done with it for now. I have got our Sweet Patina rust treatment on there. Just knocked down the surface of it, left the rust so it could actually do its job. And the exterior of the A-pillar technically goes all the way up here into here while I've got my new roof on there. This is all good. So we cut out a decent spot where I can blend it, and I looked up there. No rust up into that section. All of it was kind of isolated down to here. So we're good with that. We're gonna have to slide it in, and then we'll do some patching and welding and grinding there. This is tricky because you have so many different layers of metal coming together in different ways that it's gonna be fun to get it all together. Now, the only bit of rust left, you can see right there, the back side of this is pretty good. We'll be able to fill that in with a little bit of weld. I thought about changing this out or even just a little bit, a section of it. This is a very expensive piece. So it's gonna stay, and we're just gonna fix that little bit there. So I gotta scoop those parts up. Now, another reason you may ask, Jared, why did you just keep tearing it apart? Why didn't you stop with the small patches you were talking about doing? Well, so here is our upper piece with a little bit of rust we found. We flip it over. Even if we were gonna try to cut it out and do patches, it's substantially just rotten. This is very bad. And the pieces under here that tied into the other places pretty much disintegrated as well. So that's why that's at. This went into the car like this. So we're on the inside looking out. This was all the little bits of rust we had found. This was rust jacking, which meaning it was pushing itself apart. And we take that apart, you can just see we would have had to rebuild almost all of this. Again, in here you can see how bad that rust ended up actually being. So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully I can pick up the parts in the morning. I got to find out, because thank you, Auto Metal Direct. You guys are wonderful and awful because you're enablers. They're on my way to work. They make everything I need, and they're amazing to work with. I go, hey, I think I might do this, and they basically go, we were waiting for you to ask for that. But we're kind of running out of parts to ask for. We're in the home stretch again. Eventually, we rebuild this, and then we'll get floored. And then there's a couple more things I still have to get here. You guys want to see something kind of cool? Look! I mean, granted, I literally have just have them knocked in there for fitting, and that still has to fit first. But it feels really good when you're able to just get stuff that fits. I do know when it comes time for Honda Rousey, I don't have this option. I can't send a text and be like, hey, can I get some parts that are gonna fit perfectly and be officially licensed because they're as good, or if not better, than original 1970 sheet metal. But at least for now, we can do that. So our next step, while these are test fitted, I'm gonna go ahead and mark, because I do not have the really fancy, insanely expensive pinch weld welder. That's what a lot of people were guessing when I was talking about the new tool coming in, and no, that was the laser equipment. So I can't do the compression welding, so we're going back to the rosette or plug welds. So I'm gonna mark everywhere I wanna do a plug weld on both panels, and down here as well. We'll pop them back out, we'll knock in our plug welds, or the holes for it, and then we're gonna sand and spray it with some of our weld through primer just in the areas that are getting welded. We got all of this to work through as well. There's a lot of littles. We'll get all the clamps out here shortly, but before these actually installed, this needs to go in first. And again, as you can tell, it goes all the way up into there. Would have been perfect had I had it all stripped, you know, before putting my new roof skin on. But I had thought about right at that seam, blending it in, but again, this metal's all good, so I can actually, we'll just weld right through there. So that's gonna involve lining all of this up, cutting it a little bit long, and then chasing it back up so we get that real nice tight fit, because this does have to fully install into this section before we do our final fitment of these parts. So I'm gonna get to punching and hammering and making some sparks here in a second, and we're gonna be back on track. It feels good when things fit. It means that the steps I'm taking are working, and we might just have a good car at the end of all of this. Well, all right, let's get you guys caught up. As you saw, we talked about it. We did a lot of fitting, removing.
did some marking, and now we're waiting on paint to dry. This is high zinc, weld through primer, cold galvanizing. This is stuff that once the panels are welded in, anything you can see, you've got to get rid of it. Unfortunately, my new can, the older stuff I'm used to, will spray really tiny circles. That one just kind of just chucks a whole lot all at once. So I was just trying to do little spritzes and it just went. So, a little bit of sanding once all the panels are done and fitted in, but they all fit in really, really well. Little tweak here and there. We've got that ready to be stitched in once we fit it. So that gets slid in and kind of fit pretty good. We'll mock up the other ones, get this one welded, pull out the vertical support, weld this one in, then put the outer support back in and weld that one in finally. Feel pretty good. Again, when you're able to take everything and have it just fit pretty much perfectly, you either should be really alarmed or really happy. And I'm going with the happy side of things because we need some wins. And we're counting all of this as a win. All right, as you guys could tell from that time lapse, we have made some real progress and I'm feeling really good again. Kind of like the last episode when we were tearing apart the engine, we hit some difficulties, but that little flashback from Dwayne, going back and seeing where we started and how little car was there, how much rust we kept on finding. That's awesome. Again, guys at AMD, thank you so much for all of your support on this project. No, not computer chips, Auto Metal Direct. Jason, Eddie, and the whole team there. Bill for getting the parts while Jason was out of town. It kept me going. Because again, I cut it all out and was like, well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have a beautifully rebuilt A-pillar and hinge structure. I am really happy with how that all came out. Because we were gonna have to patch here and there and here and there and there and a lot on the inside, and now look at it. Now, this is literally just the metal work, and I'm not claiming it to be the best ever. So I can instantly see where I join this together. Can you? Yes, you can see it right there. But to having, you know, instead of having to run this all the way up to the top, I feel like that blended in incredibly well. This still needs to get leaded. It cracked me up when I melted the lead out. But that's what it looks like, that they just crunch it down, weld it, and then with lead. I think that's the proper way. Now, I had really hoped, like, just because it's a car guy hot rod thing, Gene Winfield was probably the best leading guy ever.
Now, the reason I'm using the curved paddle is to show you that I can sculpture with this lead, and you can create a pattern.
He was an artist with it, and he had classes, and I kept putting off signing up for one, and he's unfortunately passed on. So If there's something you're really thinking about doing and you really want to do, stop putting it off. Do what you need to, because you may end up losing the opportunity. And
I'm torn between the new like Eastwood zincs and things like that replicate the lead. I do not want to do all metal filler or anything like that. A lot of people have shifted to just using a fiber fill or all metal. I want to at least go through
that process of learning how to melt and do that insane amount of work. And the zinc, I think it's zinc based metal fillers are a little bit safer for you than lead. A little easier to get than lead too, but I may just go full send and get the lead.
But we are now fully in there. We're fully there. And all of that. Look at that. No more catastrophic holes.
So that's coming together amazing. We're not gonna have the floor done this episode. It's already gone pretty long because we also included that awesome unboxing
Of our xTool over there.
And I'm gonna be honest, it is a 3-in-1 machine. It is a welder, cutter, and cleaner. It's more of a welder cutter with some cleaning capabilities, and I abuse the heck out of it. It is not quite intended to go to the level that I did with it, and it did it pretty dang well. The only thing I found some issues with
Was on the really thin sheet metal. The door hinges, oh wait, those are off. The door hinges did great. I was playing with some of this stuff here. Where I was just saying, how would it blast and clean dirty, gritty, rusty stuff? This is where it really shines. Thicker metal, like prepping it for welding after it has scale rust. If you remember, Dwayne warned about muriatic acid on aluminum pistons. That's why. You can see the laser was doing pretty stinking good, but where the acid had gotten into it. But I hadn't planned to reuse these, so we're not too worried there. Again, does incredibly well on this thicker metal, knocking all the coating and rust scale off. This is the firewall reinforcement.
So I'm really excited to have this in the shop from xTool and really work it through its paces. I've got a project that's gonna be perfect to test it. Tons of cutting, welding, fabrication coming up with a big fun project I think you guys are gonna enjoy, and that's thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts. Something that the world didn't need but absolutely needs, and we're gonna get to build that together. So that's gonna do it. Next episode on the Satellite, we are gonna have the entire floorboard done. We're gonna have the front, the extensions, and that rear section done, sealed, welded in, and you know what that means? Next episode on the Satellite, all of the heavy metal work is done. We have 2 small patches afterwards, and then a little bit of finished stuff, and then it's the body work, the real fine tuning of the metal, which I'm not very good at, but we're gonna learn it. That's the whole point of this thing. Learning and working through your problems, figuring it out. Nobody knows everything, and you're never gonna learn until you try. So hopefully you guys get a little bit of motivation. I'm a mechanical wrench. I do engines, transmissions, things like that. And right now we're doing major body work and restoration. It's a ton of fun. Also, forgot, I wanted to throw this in there. A lot of people complain about how expensive, car restorations are. Let me put into perspective that corner pillar. I'm not a pro, but I had 14 hours in removing and installing that metal. Say a pro does it in 10. Like, there's just certain limitations. You can only go so fast. You also have $600 and change in parts. Your average metal guy is gonna be $100 to $150 an hour, bare minimum. So you're $2,200 just in that A-pillar if the car's already stripped down to that point. So it gets expensive, and that's where, if you're willing to get dirty and greasy and make a mess out of your garage and learn a couple skills, you can save a lot of money, at least in my opinion. So we're gonna wrap it up for today. We're gonna get this big old mess of footage to editor Dwayne, and he's probably gonna be sweating a little bit. This is definitely one I'm gonna have to group form, organize, and make a storyboard, because we're all over the place. But we're gonna wrap it up. I'm Jared, reminding you guys to always make questionable choices. And is there anything better than New Tool Day? We'll see you next time.